Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Gomez, welcome back.
Thank you, Chair.
Council, can you proceed, please? Thank you.
Outlined in various audit reports by the Auditor General, and we see what your office's reaction was in relation to your oversight function as the Director of Governance. So I will start with Brikama Area Council. With respect to the audit report dated 26th day of October 2022, for the years ended 31st December 2020 and 31st December 2021. Now, I will read some of the findings for you, and then we can discuss as to what were the steps taken in relation to trying to address them. So I will first turn to page 82. So it's in relation to withholding tax. So the auditor has highlighted that there were issues regarding withholding of tax on page 82, and there the findings were that we know that the area council did not deduct 10% tax from its contractors for carrying out work as required by the above act. So I'm not sure whether you have followed this process. Responsibility of the area councils to pay tax whenever they engage with third parties also.
No, I'm not aware of that provision.
Yes, so this is a finding with respect to the audit report, and then in all the contracts that they have entered into, it was found out that they did not withhold tax, 10% tax, as it is required by law. So again, I will take it that you haven't had access to the audit report based on your previous answers.
Yes.
And therefore you couldn't act on them because you don't have access to.
Yes, if I don't have access to them, I can't act.
So now, what would be the way forward in relation to addressing these issues? Are there any mechanism as to how your office will address issues that have been outlined or been found to be issues of imminent concern at the level of the area councils?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, as we are highlighting on those issues, it's not game over. And then we'll dig into the various points highlighted by the Auditor General in the audit reports, and ensure that whatever necessary action or appropriate action to be taken is well executed.
Very well. So again, I turn to page 86 of the same audit report. This time it is in relation to payroll deductions. Are you familiar with payroll deductions, the rules governing payroll deductions?
Payroll deductions.
Now, the financial and accounting manual for local government authorities state that no employee can take a new payroll loan while servicing another existing one, that the loan deduction cannot exceed 50%. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And so you have, in this instance, wherein it was noted that staff were paid less than 50% of their salaries as take home for the year 2021. What is your reaction to that?
A staff, that's one.
Staffs.
Yeah. We are paid less than 50%.
Yes.
And the tax was deducted.
Yes.
Yeah. What is wrong is wrong. Whatever is wrong is wrong. It can't be made right.
No, but then what is your responsibility as an inspector and as an oversight institution?
Is to rectify it.
And how are you supposed to rectify these issues that have been raised?
Yeah, we didn't. Like as I said, I'm not very much afraid with this report, but some of the reports when they come, I give them to my team to pick them council by council, and then we discuss the points.
Do you know?
What I know of the most recent audit reports are not yet before my desk.
Have you acted upon any audit report?
Yes, by way of like picking the salient points.
Can you give us an example of an instance wherein an audit report has highlighted a particular problem and you have acted on it?
Yes, it is normally acted upon during periodic inspection and monitoring.
Do you have any example to that effect?
By the team. Offhand, I can't remember which, or to give which example to this commission.
No, so how do you see this problem? When you have staffs going home with less than 50%, there must be a reason as to why it has been clearly prohibited in accordance with the financial manual of the local government area councils. So that basically people wouldn't just be paying, servicing loans, and at the end of the day, they go home empty-handed. That may lead to so many things. You will agree with me. Number one, if you can't cater for your family, that's why you're working. So in essence, people may actually do some other issues like engage in fraudulent activities and so on and so forth. That's why there has to be control as to what limit can someone be granted loan and be servicing certain loans.
Yes, I believe a loan shouldn't be granted twice. Like you grant a loan while he or she is servicing the loan, you approve another loan. That is in itself is wrong.
Exactly.
Wherever it may happen. And servicing a loan should be based on the person's pay grade. If my salary, for example, is $10, and you are asking me to pay maybe $8 a monthly, what then will I take home? So it needs to be worked out in such a way that the staff doesn't suffer in terms of repayment of the loan.
Now, we will move to page 87 before I make a general comment. In relation to incomplete personal files. Yes, so you have staff personal files reveal that several key documents as simple as birth certificates, appointment letters, and qualifications were not in the file. So this is also a problem that you find not only in Banjul, but also across the area councils.
Yes, I agree with you. We have issues in respect of having the complete data that is required in every employee's file. And typical of which sometimes you come across even a senior officer of council to produce his or her birth certificate, for example, or to produce maybe a teen certificate, for example, is always push and pull. Oh, I'll provide it next time when you come around. But it is a concern to us. And
why must there be a push and pull when you have an act, you have regulation in relation to how you address these issues? Are you not familiar with the Local Government Act?
I am, of course.
And then, so what would you say your responsibility is as the Director of Governance in relation to addressing these problems?
Maybe you could have given an ultimatum to the individual or staff concerned to produce it, failure of which A, B, and C could happen.
Is that only a lapse on the side of the staff concerned, or is it a lapse on the side of the administration? Because again, if I am employed and they didn't ask me any documentation or haven't produced any, all I am interested in is my salary being paid.
That's right.
So if the minimum requirement is not being met, and then they didn't ask for it for whatever reason, then you don't necessarily leave it to the staff to make these regulations and meet up with these regulations. The administration must be able to enforce these things, and that is where your office comes in, right?
Yeah. Certainly, I agree with you, Council. It all boils down during recruitment. Once a staff is recruited and offered a job, from that point, a file should be created and all the nitty-gritties for that staff concerned should be produced or provided. We have had these issues, and that's why we took the trouble of now having staff files at the ministry. That is in addition to the filing system at the respective councils. We have taken it upon ourselves. In fact, we have even organized a special visit or special inspection primarily on payroll to ensure that every member of staff has a file, both at whatever council, and a similar copy is reproduced at our level where we store.
When was that exercise implemented?
2020 or 2021.
Do you ever embark on that exercise? Your office?
No. It's my staff.
Yes. Do you have records to to prove that you have embarked on that exercise?
Yes, we have them at the office.
Okay, can you make that special staff exercise available to us?
All right, okay, I will.
Now, you can again turn to page, sorry, you don't have the copy, so page 88, I will turn to. It is in relation to overstatement of bank charges. Now, you know, the issues that have been highlighted, they vary. There are some are in relation to the operational manual of the area councils, others in relation to possible fraudulent actions as well being highlighted. Now, we expect, of course, there will be actions taken when you don't do your oversight function and find these problems, but then they have been done as well by the Auditor General. We still expect that there should be actions taken. Now, it was noted that overstatement of bank charges of $40,151.64 bututs in the cash book for the year ended 31st December 2020. The charges were $48,827.94 bututs and $88,979.50 bututs in respect of EcoBank statements and cash book respectively. So, how does your office address these issues?
The best approach is to verify with the staff concerned or the office concerned, as highlighted by the National Audit Office. And if it is true, then to surcharge him or her for the variance to recover that. Now, pay back to the council.
Now, in the performance of your role as an inspector, so what will you say are the rights that you have in relation to those performance?
The rights?
If you want to engage into an inspection, let's say you want to inspect Kanifing or Banjul, the area council there, or Brikama, any of the area councils. Now, what are your rights as an inspector at that point? How do you conduct these inspections?
Yes, we notify them in writing and what the TOR will be for that particular exercise, and the team will then proceed.
So when you go for the site visits, you can request for documentation?
Yes.
And review documentation?
Yes, the team has the absolute right to request for whatever documentation that may be relevant to the inspection.
To the inspection.
Yes, and access to any other material that may be relevant.
So whether it is the exercise is in relation to the personnel management or financial malpractices, you have no limit as to what you can request. Haven't you been doing that?
No, for every inspection, we try to avoid biting what we may be struggling to chew. Like wanting to inspect A to Z at one particular go. And that is why the team will sit and come up with.
How do you determine what your theory for a particular inspection?
No, the team will sit and iron it out. No. We discuss to agree.
Now you have 8 area councils, right? Therefore, we are going to for inspection. How do you decide what your theory will be?
No,
what will inform your decision making?
Anything
like
it will be on staff matters, P files or whatever, will inform the nature or magnitude of the inspections.
And so was a problem with respect to incomplete works being done. That it was observed that the road maintenance and rehabilitation works were incompleted on 22nd June 2020. Work should have been completed by September. The report that was finalized 2022, and the works were never. And this information will definitely come to the. Are there steps taken to ensure that the necessary actions are being taken?
Was advanced there? Was it completed?
The management maintained is mainly attributed to the untimely procurement of materials by the contractor. This also coincided of aggregated in the thereafter the contractor requested for extension of time and eventually granted. Now you have this information, they are giving you excuse, you're wrong, but then you have a primary role as an oversight institution to make sure you do you the issue. Are you aware that it was done?
No, it was.
Again, to KMC, please proceed.
Before you go to KMC, please find out from you, Mr. Gomez.
Yes, madam.
The council wrote on the 5th, 2019, and the reason being that one Ibrahim in 2016 he was written to with respect to 1,025,000, which was on 4 at the council. My first question is, do you normally appoint the CEOs as you progress?
Yes, the commission.
The commission, it does that. In this case, the former director was appointed as CEO, and he had issues based on the letter that by the who was the director of finance as of the 5th, 2019. He wrote, that is, you can correct me if I am complaining about a lot of issues in this letter. Ibrahim Sane, that is what is in this letter. You can check the letter, but let me just finish what I have seen here for you to. So it was a letter that was written to you about the Masane last submission was on the I think he was director, but you will look at the letter and confirm. Now the issue is, up to the time he became the because this in this letter N. Jammeh was writing, and he copied all of you with respect for your notice and for your. Now my question is, this 125,000 registrar, can you hand him over this? And also in the same vein, the chairman, Mansakonko Area Council, the CEO, about the finance committee being missing, submitted issues, and the finance subcommittee on financial misconduct involving Ibrahim Sane Lamin Balde was forwarded to the ministry for action. And they said in that meeting they need a conclusion on the issue urgently, so that their council can function, because without resolving this issue we will continue to have problem in the execution of their duties. Please look at the letter and clarify and understand about this issue. Yes, these two. Yes.
Yes. I can't remember coming or contact or interacting with this document. And I'll not be able to shed light on it.
Yes. At that, correct that it is the director complaining against the CEO?
Yes, because the letter emanated from finance addressed to the CEO.
All right, thank you. So you said you have not had...
Yes.
But how, Mr. Gomez, files?
No, like this was well before I occupied the office.
Oh, okay. Thank you. But subsequently, because this is in 2019, when did you occupy the office?
2020.
So in 2020, you had to deal with this issue. There was nothing brought before you pursuant. So, in other words, it will be safe for someone to say that this issue is not resolved.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Council, you can.
Thank you. Now, I will move to MC. We started that earlier before the break. This the financial statements and reports for the year ended 2021. I will just read you page 7. It is in relation to the deletion of rates. We are either through your inspection, if any, or through the audit report, that there were incidents of rates transactions being deleted by collectors.
Being deleted?
Yes. Now, the findings were that fraud of $297.43 in respect to rates for the year 2020. These were deleted in the matrix data system, which resulted to non-deal transactions dated 28 December 2020 with reference number KMC/FIN/342. It was noted that a task force was set up by the council to investigate the matter, but there was no report to that effect. Now, caused huge financial losses, I can say. So therefore, action by office or your institution to address this issue.
Who set up the task force to look into the matter? Was it the
council claimed to have set up a task force, but the auditor outlined that there was to back their claim.
Yeah, if a task force, whoever sets it up has a responsibility to produce that was going to guide the national audit.
True. If they didn't do that, then where do you come in as an oversight?
Again, do we have the mandate to take it up? Remember, they are saying they are semi-autonomous, and we're trying to avoid what they call too much that pollute their autonomy status that they claim to have.
No,
but again,
go ahead. No, you proceed.
No, but I said again, it's brought to light, to the attention of the ministry, that it should stop the ministry from picking it from there, from where the council left off. That is setting up the task force, trying to establish the task. If a report was produced, where was it? Was the report produced? Where is it?
So the current structure of unless it is being changed in time, or there is a recommendation to have it so that there will not be any supervisory role. What the structure is as of now is not what I believe in. Your office should be in some of these activities. You don't tell them how to spend their money, perhaps. You may not tell them to operate on a daily basis, but then you expect to make sure that things are going okay. And that is in your statement, that it is your mandate to oversee, it's your mandate to to supervise. It's your mandate to inspect. And so therefore, where problems occur, then you must be able to either to address them in one way or the other.
Yes, I agree with you. Inspection, there's a gap. And I think there's a need to shorten it to cover need.
What will you recommend?
I recommend if I have in my way, even monthly.
Monthly, instead of 3 months?
Yes.
But you're not even within the 3 months. That's my work.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Because my office, like anybody, we have constraints.
Now tell us the constraints. The commissioners are here. They are listening. My job is not to tell you what your constraints are.
Yes.
Our job is let everybody.
That's why I agreed before they even conclude, we are going to give them our recommendation.
That will be good. But until then, 3 months periodical inspection met up with the inspection. In fact, I can say you haven't 100. You haven't even. You will fail. You 10 or 5 if I have to be very, very generous in relation to your mandate as an inspector, because you don't have records to back it up that indeed every 3 months you conduct effective inspection. Do you?
I think with due respect, Council, I think here Africa, I am wrong, but I noted it somewhere, inspection reports. Now, that will say inspections are conducted as you may wish, like we have constraints and do it quarterly as we envisage.
It is not as I wish, it is just the requirement every 3 months. You told me about the 3 months. I may not even have been aware of months. Yes. And you told me about the 3 months and you haven't met the 3 month requirement. So let's go to I will page 89.
Council, let me ask.
Yes.
So governments, are you aware of a letter written to the chairman of the local government by PART3, the CEO of Mansakonko area, reporting that one Mr. Lamin Balde at Bureng Sub-Treasury, Mr. Lamin Cham at Kiang, Central Rates and Tax Collection Area, one Ibrahim Market, Soma Central Market were involved in financial indiscipline. Mr. Lamin Sub-Treasury was involved in a case amounting to 29, and Mr. Lamin Cham, a revenue collector at Kiriang collection area, was also involved in non-submission of collected revenue amounting to 59,420. It seems nothing was done, and this appeal to write to the chairman of this commission. Action letter?
Don't be sure whether the letter reached the commission, since the process or procedure is not for them to write direct to the commission but through the permanent secretary. So at this stage I cannot confirm that the letter reached the commission.
So you did not act on this information?
Yes, as far as I can remember, I have never seen that.
Thank you. Council, you can proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, the honorable commissioners. So let's go some of the issues and turn to Brikama as well. My lead counsel just in fact drawn my attention to what we have been your oversight function. As to we have highlighted that you can enter into these premises, request or demand presentation or interviews with individuals to ascertain some of these. And the inspection and monitoring of is section 150. It talks about that in your as an inspector, one of the reasons is to foster the elimination of corruption of office. And in doing enter and inspect of any local government authority as may be relevant to the books of accounts, records, stores, and any other documentation and require any person to produce any document connected with the inspection. Where necessary, retain any document or item connected with the case being investigated and look into any matter on his or her own initiative on complaint made by any member of the public. And we have issue. And I know you have. That's why I asked you what are your rights and what relations and so on and so forth. Is when you as an institution in the performance of function, agree with me that you are not even supposed to wait for a body like the National Audit to in fact launch an investigation. This is their mandate. They will do it. And you, on the other hand, as an oversight function institution, you should be doing this periodically. And you come up with your own report, come up with your own findings that may even not be highlighted by the auditor at any given time. But you have not been doing that. You understand? And now you have problems being elected for you, fight for you. You still have not action. What is your reaction to?
Not satisfactory.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on?
Yeah. There's the need to address those issues with urgency.
So another issue of concern is it is a alteration of payment voucher by the word itself, alteration of payment voucher. You will see that it is a serious issue. In fact, high risk or high priority by the. So the specific findings are that some payment numbers were altered using pens as people were using pens to make alterations to figures in relation to voucher numbers. Tell you the level of the fraudulent scheme executed here as outlined by the auditor.
Yeah, if the voucher numbers were printed and needs to be changed, if it is changed handwritten, it should be preceded by the name and signature of the one or the individual effecting the change. But I agree that is not a best practice. Payment voucher, then perhaps it may be not cost effective, but reprinting may be a good way forward.
It's not even a matter of it being not being a best practice, but because that is not in fact an issue to be discussed. No one will argue otherwise. You understand? The matter is, what have you done as oversight institution when this for the country? When an individual or a collector can just alter figures and present whatever they can present on it, and nothing is being.
Yeah, it is a concern.
So will you say that you have your duties as an inspector effectively?
No.
Let us conclude on with KMC. We have to discuss the issue of sanitation. I had the chairman teaching women are going to the market and they will not even have a very clean environment to sell their vegetables and so on and so forth. And really, the auditor has highlighted issues. In fact, was even concerned about the health hazard but page 30 talks about poor maintenance of block toilets, and the findings were that $588 was spent for the renovation of 2021, and we observed the toilet. The manhole for the toilet was broken and covered with plastic. The cages attention, and the flush system was not functioning, and as a result the water supply was through basins. There was a picture illustrated. I would definitely want you to look at this personally. Now we may miss on a timely basis to correct the malpractices that are happening in the area councils in relation to financial or fraudulent and financial issues. But to the extent of as well not supervising how women or the average Gambian being has access to sanitary things, it's just really a serious issue. Just again for us, one or two of the findings of the auditor were to the poor maintenance of the block toilets.
Men and women share the same toilets. The manhole for the toilet is broken and covered with plastic bags.
If you have to inspect, if inspector, is this something that you can ordinarily find out for yourself?
Yes. The issue of the two sexes here in the same is against our Gambian or African culture. That shouldn't happen.
You don't even need to even highlight this. You could have in your job as an oversight institution.
Yes.
And this problem, I believe. Do you know whether the case as we speak?
No, unless we visit the site.
Did you visit the site?
Say unless we visit the site to assess.
Visit the site.
No. That's why I said.
Which site is this?
It's not stated.
Is it Seragna market?
No, it's not stated which of the markets. Whether.
Just look at the picture.
Yeah, the picture cannot tell me what it is.
Let
if
me
it was shown somewhere that this is.
So it is Seragna market as well, but it's in fact a problem across all the markets within KM.
Okay. Yeah.
It is a problem as well. Seragna market. Very well. So, but the issue is not just about it being Seragna market. It's a problem in all the markets with a. Yes, so it's hello going on this across all the markets as well, and what you simply could have as an oversight institution is just to pay a visit to the market, and you will find out that this is the problem they're facing on a daily basis, and your institution have the same old problem.
I think, to be honest, we have for a while not been a visitation of the markets within the KM area or the GBA, unlike in the rural council. But I think there's the need to expand our visits to cover public places where public funds are utilized.
See, I believe that it is easy to say, if you are just to execution of your responsibility to someone else, it is going to be a serious problem. We can just sit here and say, well, KMC haven't done X, Y, Z, but they need to be fact-checked. The law provides that they have to be fact-checked. Someone commits a crime, if prosecute these crimes, is that not the case?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Comments, I'll give you a letter that was written, and it was minuted to you to forward to the local government commission. And Fofana, Director of Internal Audit, he was responding to the allegations made against him. And I would kind of to read 0.11, and I will thank. Let him read here. Let him read this paragraph. Yes.
One.
Yes.
To the extent, I would have been very grateful if the mayor had only given me a warning letter internally. This, since he never wrote to me by warning, wrote to me. The Establishment and Appointments Committee, which is in charge of matters in conformity with the Government Act, has also not written any warning to me. At one time, the establishment had an informal meeting with me as to what my constraints, if any. I told them about some of my risks, but no remedy was provided apart from that of the afterwards.
Now, the issues highlighted in, since that was addressed to the permanent, were steps taken to remedy those issues at the KMC?
No longer in that unit, he was to
No.
internal.
My question is, all those highlighted in that letter, was it addressed by the Minister of Site institution for the country?
No,
or are you aware, sit over it, because this
no,
personnel?
What I was aware was his redeployment from Director of Finance to Director of Audit, internal.
Did you ask any question to find out why? Finance to Director of Audit?
Yes, because I was invited to the office. From the point of view which he admitted, he has audit back to handle that office.
So, what was the only issue in that letter that since you said you invited him to the office, explain and clarify for us some of these issues and whether you have taken action pursuant to what they are saying in those documents?
Yes, action in respect to this writing to him prior or the establishment.
There is a response that is given by that letter to the permanent secretary, highlighting all the issues. I just gave you, but there are so many others, because I think it's a 5-page letter or 4-page letter. So highlighted, and you said he came to the office. So I to, if you know, came to the commission, what transpired, what are the issues, whether you helped them.
We couldn't resolve them.
Thank you. That is what I am.
Couldn't resolve them.
Yes. Council, can you please proceed?
Thank you very much. Issues of unsigned contracts committee meeting, wherein the contract committee will present meetings, a minute of meetings when they have not been authenticated. As well, we have issues of monies being renovation of toilets when it is not being properly maintained, system as well being highlighted. And I take it that you haven't done proper inspection to find out and solve these problems as well.
Facilities, etc. No, we didn't.
Again, of particular concern is that if you look at the audit report that we're going through, the KMC audit report, we did, they made a disclaimer. He sat where you are sitting right now and explained to us what a disclaimer of opinion is. To the best of my memory, you only have a disclaimer of opinion when it's not presented with the required documentation to a very if I have to read to you what the disclaimer of opinion we have audited the financial statements of Carnifing Municipal Council and December 2020. These financial statements comprise of revenue statements and balance sheet for the year ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies, and the audit information was set out 140-31. Because of the significance of the matters disclaimer of opinion, we have not been able to obtain audit evidence to provide a basis for an audit opinion. Accordingly, we do not opinion financial statement. It's such that there was no proper financial statement presented by K. In fact, all those expenditure statement expenditure. So there was no proper financial statement to some of the assertions in relation to their income and their expenditure. We have gone through the audit report. We have seen that, in fact, some of the instance there were complete financial statements that have been requested for the auditing by the auditor, and therefore it was very much serious point that will highlight it as a high risk, for example. And the basis for the disclaimer of opinion, as far as the auditor is concerned, is that we conducted our internal standards of Supreme Audit Institution, and our responsibilities under those standards described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of our report of the entity in accordance with the Code of Conduct. Now, we believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and based for our opinion. The following are used for the disclaimer of opinion. That the reason the auditor made a disclaimer of opinion is that there were comparative figures, that the matrix property tax lack of audit trail into the property tax system, that there was no audit trail for the matrix property in respect of rates. We were unable to have access to the system to confirm and validate the accuracy of the rates figure of 81,070 it is 873 butut. It was 70,873 butut. Reports on the revenue and expenditures. Our IT unit attempted to obtain both front and back ends to provide to the financial audit, but no access was successful. The Deputy Director of Finance has the superior or super admin of the matrix property tax system, which includes access to all the systems. We further note of $297,941 transactions as per council memo. So now here, the auditor is saying that there was no audit trail, profound opinion, access to the systems. What you have is a figure to them, but it has not been backed by any supportive document. Now, you come to the other issue, the payroll system. That the payroll system also allows transactions to verify and validate the accuracy figures in the revenue and expenditure statements. In short, it is of a serious concern. Even at the point of auditing, they couldn't have access to the basic need to have access. How can they verify the figures? So you're just given a random figure of income and expenditure, in almost all the situations. Any of them. And this is actually to the tune of millions of them, which means there are no proper accounting. Now, lack of data. There was no data in the Ecotech system to manage for the Malit project. Now, the revenue statement reported an unconfirmed balance of 6,000 for skip bins, whilst no figure was collections. We could not determine the actual types of collections. So money is being unaccounted for. Revenue being lost, I can say, has been highlighted. It is a serious license invoices. We have gone through all of these things. Invoices for license payments were not presented for audit inspection to confirm invoice amounts agrees with the receipt amounts. Now, in the absence of the license figures of 535, 12 bottles, revenue and expenditure statements could not. We have this country, and to be honest, I will not apologize to anyone that people time and again when we don't do our job. And when you and I sit here and you're an oversight effectively carried out and it is not being done, it's sad. I keep on telling myself every single day that this audit report, I couldn't just understand it. So I have to say, to this, like financial statements not properly being prepared, an entire area council.
Yeah, certainly is a matter of concern to all of us. I must the preparation or production of financial statements by councils has been over the years, and the government decided to introduce IFMIS that really help or solve the problem of financial statements.
You have been at that years now.
Just two.
Just those 2 years, I can tell you lost. Those 2 years. So much money. So you don't sit here and say it's just 2 years. It's 2 years of inaction. So many years of inaction by the ministry. You watch councils operate anyhow they feel like operating, without proper oversight. I don't think there's a need to go through all of this, Madam Chair. I think it is just over and over again that the country will keep on millions by the fact that area councils operate on a daily basis as to however fit, and there is no also oversight function at the side. I think point for me to stop. I hand over the witness to Madam Chair and the commissioners.
Okay, I just have one last question, and I can hand over to the commissioners to ask questions. And the governments, I have a letter, folio 75. One Mr. Ibrahim Njane was requesting for the payment of his pension, which has been delayed so long. And in his request for the payment of his pension benefit, he stated, and this is a letter on the 20th of September 2020, he again highlighted $1,121,000, which is not accounted for, $1,000, which is also not accounted for, 701,000, which is not accounted for, 145 accounted for, and 42,150, which is also, and He further also stated that additional 56,710 is not accounted. 72,005 dialysis is also not accounted for. 59,420 is also not accounted for. Our concern here is that this Mr. Jammeh into the Local Government Service Commission asking that his pension be paid. He had to restore all of these monies that are unaccounted for. What is your response? That is in folio 75.
Yes.
Thank you.
If action wasn't taken, it's a sad situation.
Yes. Before you proceed, let me just say, it was minuted to you, and in the minute you were directed to ask Mr. Jammeh to the office of the PS. Can you confirm for me who signed that minute on that letter?
Yes, because as can be seen on this letter, he wrote to the commission directly.
I am asking, who minuted that to you?
The permanent secretary.
That you should send back the letter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, was those issues addressed, and is his pension paid?
Yes, his pension is paid.
But what about the issues he highlighted, and listing all those that are not, that are still outside, not
I think it's still the best of
my. I will hand you over to Commissioner Fall to ask you questions. Thank you.
Mr. Comis.
Yes, Commissioner.
I guess Director of Local Governance is the nerve center of governance in the Gambia. Will you agree?
I agree.
That it is the link between the center and the periphery.
Yes.
It has moved forced from a small unit, used to be a director, an inspectorate, now a directorate.
Yes.
And this was all in anticipation of a robust decentralization. And that in actual fact led to the enactment of the Government Act and some of the other subsidiary legislations. What we have here, or what we have here, some of capacity deficit, both at the level of the administration, policy formulation, and even at the ministry level of the ministry. I wouldn't call it deficit, negation of responsibilities. As a Directorate of Local Governance, and in anticipation of opportunities that are going to be given to the country, we have already seen, in the implementation of from 2002 and prior to that, there was consultation with stakeholders, the councils and others. They had input in the formulation of the act, and it was side by side with decentralization and local government reforms. And the decentralization was not conjunction, concentration, but devolution of financial and resources. Now, with all this capacity deficit that ministry doing, or your department, or your directorate doing to address this?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Commissioner. I agree with your concern. Capacity has been an issue, and that the Commission is addressing gradually. If you are familiar with councils, you agree that maybe 10 years ago we may have a CEO. Today, as we speak, the number is, even you have people agree, serving as officers, which was never the case some 10, 15 years ago. Recently, the Commission has just conducted and recruited certain positions requested and advertised by councils, and have since reported or requested for 1 month notice of their current employment. They report to. And the second batch interviews are slated for 14 or 14-15. So the capacity of councils is being gradually addressed.
As you rightly said, the capacity is addressed, and that there are graduates, degrees, and so forth. But still, we have problems of management, problems of financial management. We have problems of. So what can the ministry do at your level to enforce your monitoring capacity? We need more staff to assist in councils. I can remember councils during the whole day, monthly monitoring of councils, and then councils are expected to produce monthly bank reconciliation to see where there are gaps in the financial management of the council. But I don't know, what is your directorate doing, or what can be done to capacitize, if you need staff, to have more staff, qualified staff, to help in the monitoring and inspection of these councils? It all comes to monitoring. You can have with PhDs and 75 million PhDs, but implementation, there are issues. If nobody, this is why we are having all these problems with.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Two things are. Additional staff is required at our level, and that should be accompanied by not only continuous but of recommendation emanating from the audit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Sugai.
Mr.
Yes, Commissioner.
One key principle of community development is to embark for the people and by the people. What is the ministry doing to help municipalities to identify projects that are useful to the communities?
Yeah, I think identification is always at their level. Many are or developed from the wards or from the communities and sent to the councils. But right at the regions or the councils, we equally have community development staff on the ground and in the community who are equally well support those communities to come up with tangible and projects that are going to help address the needs of the communities.
Another question is, when it comes to matters of procurement and contracting, what does your ministry do to support the councils?
Yes, the procurement of councils is no different from that of. They follow the same procedure and pattern in all their procurement by the GPPA Act and its subsequent regulations. So at their level, for the they have procurement for by virtue of their revenue side. A tiny staff could be 1 or 2 officers as but plans are underway to need, depending on the magnitude of the procurement process being conducted as and per council. That is done at their level with no interference until and unless any council requests ministerial support, then we can provide by listening the relevant authorities or stakeholders.
And my third question is, the Local Government Act is outdated. So how soon do you think you should be amended?
Yes. The Local Government Act, as you said, it is outdated, came in 2002, and since on the knife went through the knifing that we are just addressing issues in piecemeal. But 2000 to date, time has elapsed. And of course, I concur with you, there's the urgent need to revisit, review the Act in order to modern the 24th of this country. Regional consultations has already taken place. A consultant was part of the UNDP, and the consultant and his consulting of this country to consult not only with councils but relevant stakeholders here towards addressing the emerging concerns of the Local Government Act. Fortunately or fortunately, as one may perceive it, by the time I afternoon a done deal. But when the regional consultations were concluded, it coincided with the time of reviewing the Constitution. The Ministry of Justice advised us to because knowing that all legislations take cue from the Constitution of the Republic. It could be a duplication of efforts, like we propose. And when the Constitution finally comes into being, then there will be a need to adjust 1 or 2 things. And the advice given to all the process pending the outcome of the negotiations. Sadly, as we speak, we all know the fate of that Constitution. But we have decided, even if it means spending additional there in order to act with the Constitution. And that is why the consultant, and there was a day he even committed so that we look at what is required and then schedule dates for the national consultation to be preceded the national validation. Unfortunately, when it was called somewhere and the meeting didn't take place. So that is the situation, but once we are able to finalize with the consultant, then will take place to give an opportunity to holders at the national level come up with their inputs. That will be followed by the validation of the Act. I assure you that it will be done shortly because we are no longer depending on the UNDP, but government we have already set up astonished which the Ministry of Finance will release to us following a request for cash allocation. So that hopefully by end of June to conduct the investigations and maybe the validation of the Local Government Act.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Mr. Joyner has.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The whole thing is the questions and the boils down to the ineffectiveness of the Directorate of Local Governance. My question is very simple and short. You have stated here that your staff complement is 3. Considering it being the nerve center of the councils to as prescribed by the Act? Do you think 3, or do you think, what is your number of staff that you would requisite of oversight functions?
Yeah, that will need to be assessed, but honestly, the number as we speak is on the low side. Be beefed up. If we should be in a position to take on all the issues emanating, is very huge. Therefore, we'll need to be able to handle these mountain challenges confronting us.
Honorable Sila has
Mr. Director, not but actually planning is key, and there are steps in planning. If at all you, according to the response you're giving to the councils, it seems that anything that was there before you, and that is what we have read. We all know that if we want to plan, we should know where we are coming from, what the institution was like. Now, there, and if you are there, how do you know that you are there? These are the steps in planning. But if what you get stopped, and this is what has happened, because if you are saying that you are not privy to the audit report all over this country, as a director, then I think we have a problem. We have a big problem. It means that you know what the issues are, and not knowing the issues means that you cannot address them. That's the hard fact. So I would, that is one. You talk about, yes, even act is coming from planet Mars or from Jannah. If you don't have the right people to implement the zero, I will not only discuss it is an attitudinal problem. If you say 10 years ago or 15 years ago there was only one graduate in the entire system, but the systems were more functional now than when we have graduates, then what's the point? Then I think there is a core problem that we are not addressing. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you so much. You can respond, and lead counsel have 2 questions. And, we will wrap up, and you can respond to what he is saying, and then I can hand over the mic to the lead.
Thank you, Honorable Sila. It's not a one-off, like it's not only saying capacity is the missing link. It's got a whole set of issues, because if you address one and you don't address the other, you will not out of the hurdle. So we have to look at in its entirety and address it. But again, revising or reviewing the act, as you said, the commissioner says you can have maybe out of staff 70 of them with PhD. that may not solve the problem.
Council?
Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. Gomez, I just have 2 wrap-up questions for you. You have spoken about capacity issues, redoing the local government, and you've also spoken about the fact that you're, by virtue of your position as the Director of Governance and by virtue of your position as a member of the Local Government Service Commission. Now, do you think, or what do you think should be done about this? What would you recommend to be done to remove this conflict? Do you think it's necessary directorate on its are you able to make decisions, or is the governance able to make decisions by himself that to enforce having capacity, as the commissioners have said, and you cannot enforce? If you're inspecting anything about it, there's really no point to what you think that it is necessary to be a standalone without interference from the permanent secretary, and and you also think that the local government service will also be not just separate on paper, but reality from the ministry? What are your in that regard?
Maybe the commission to become separate alone stuff with its own secretary. That's for the future.
And what about the director of governance? Do you think when the director cannot make decisions about enforcement by him?
It can be effective when the...
I think that the director of governance can be effective in carrying out its as provided for in the local government, where the director cannot make decisions in respect of implementation without the support of the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Lands.
Yes, here we cannot rule out the permanent secretary. It implies his decision. But to look at how best and the quickest ways to implement or address issues as and when they come.
And do you think that
either they make sure a copy is provided for the directorate.
For the directorate of governance.
Yes, and we to act.
And do you think that there should be sanctions directorate of governance and the permanent secretary, where they have implemented what needs to be implemented in respect of the local governance
that's
structure?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one bit. My other issue is in respect of the role of council mayors, chairpersons. These are elected officials by the general public. They're responsible for so many things. They're supposed to be helping central government plans and policies for the country. And they're supposed to be with the local people within their jurisdiction. So they're supposed to know more what the people need, government requirements, etc. And it's clear that when it comes to local government, not as great as when it comes to presidential elections. Now, do you think that this has anything to do with the people's awareness of the functions of their councillors and their mayors or chairpersons are?
It has to do with that.
And do to sensitize the people about these issues?
Yeah, when you talk about sensitization, we don't wait until elections around the corner, then you start to sensitization at the right time. The electorates know that any other election is as important as the election. But the perception of some electorates is, once I'm done with the presidential, the others are irrelevant.
What does government do to sensitize the people, to let the people know what the role of their councillors are, what the role of the mayors are, so that they understand that their vote counts in terms of the development that they're going to get within their community? Does the government do anything to sensitize the general population about this?
I don't think it may be not done at the...
So do you have any recommendations?
I will recommend massive or sensitizations on the importance of each of the elections conducted, that the vote or their vote or is our voice.
And lastly, you have said that you believe that you think that the Local Government Service Commission should stand on its own.
That's my opinion.
That's why I asked you, is that what you should have, considering your experience with?
Yes, maybe if the laws permit it, why not?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gomez. Mr. Gomez, we would draw here, but we will invite you again to sit on some issues, and we will expect you to submit the documents that we have requested during the course of the proceedings. When and if we require to call you back, we will do so. Meantime, at least to go back to your office, continue your work. Thank you so much, and we may rise.